Hey gamers, well today I wanted to do a little thing that was supposed to happen way earlier this year and I totally forgot about it because I had so many board games I wanted to review. I wanted to talk about my best games that I added to my collection in 2022. On this channel I didn't do a top 100, but I did get a lot of new games, and I believe it was, the total was 15 after it was all said and done. I got rid of a few. Few didn't make the cut. But of the 15 that did, I never did videos on that, and I kind of wanted to do that, and I just forgot until recently. Had a discussion with someone when they asked me this question. So breaking this down into 3 parts here, talking about what were the best games that I added into my collection this past year. Well, in 2022, I may have gotten this game in late 2021 or early 2022, very early 2022. It is Frosty the Snowman, the card game. Now, just to let you know, my wife is a huge Frosty the Snowman fan. She watches the cartoon every Christmas, and this had happened after Christmas. She was doing some shopping. You know how they just throw their stuff in the bargain bin. This thing was like 50, 75% off, and she loves Frosty the Snowman. She got it and said, hey, can we play this? I went, yeah, sure. It is a fun co-op card game where you're trying to match up cards, switch kids around, get them in these rows. And even though it doesn't look like much on the surface, it is a really fun game and really hard. Every time we've played this so far, because I played it again this past Christmas and earlier this year, you'll be on your last few cards because you're trying to go through this stack of tiles and trying to put the kids in different orders. And whoo, you got to get creative. I don't know how kids could beat this. But if you are a Frosty the Snowman fan at heart, you're thinking, well, is this kind of fluff? No, the game is actually pretty solid. And of course, out of the 15 new games that I'm ranking here, this one ranks last. But remember, I did say a lot of games that were into my collection did leave the same year. So if it has staying power, it's good. My number 14 is Reign, the Last Battle Royale. This was a game at Target. I think it was like 10 bucks. It was on sale. It has a ton of minis. It wooed me with its minis. Fortnite's really big right now. So this is kind of Fortnite the game where you're just rolling, moving, fighting. After certain rounds, different pieces of the land are going away. And if you want to play my version, you just keep going around the board until only the middle piece is there, and then everyone's duking it out, which does happen from time to time. Now, the more players you have with this, the crazier it gets. The minis are fantastic, and my nephews and I have played a few rounds of this, and we've really enjoyed it. If you're looking at kids, you know, even up to teenage years, 15, 16, I think they'd really enjoy this game. Heck, I think adults, I never brought out with my adult gaming group, but I think they would even love it as well. It's just mindless roll, move, roll, fight. And I mean, there's times you can pick up these gems that give you an extra die to roll. There's not much to it, but it is really fun. It is a fun game and total schlot, but I love it. My number 13 was Gingerbread House. I'd heard good things about this. It was on super sale at one time during 2022. I was like, okay, well, I'll pick up a copy. This is a nice little game where it's like you're collecting dominoes, putting them on your house, matching, covering up other cookies of your gingerbread house, using those cookies to purchase characters in the game, fabled characters who are worth different victory points. Of course, more cookies would mean more victory points. There is a little bit of a strategy on where you place what cookies you cover, on how you set up your gingerbread house. I do enjoy it. It is very lighter than I thought it would, which is kind of probably why it's on the bottom of this list here, but still a really fun game. The only thing I dislike about it, younger kids, like 10, I think he's like 10 or 11, one of my nephews he just could not grab the concept of this game. But it is a fun game. Maybe not just for kids, I don't know. Definitely for light gamers, but definitely one that I love to have. And how many times can I say definitely? My number 12 is Spacegate Odyssey. I got this off of a huge sale by Almost Day for like 4 bucks. I said, well, for 4 bucks, I can just throw it in the trash if I don't like it. But this had staying power. In fact, it came back to the table several times, and I've played it again this year. So it's a really fun game where you got these little jump gates, and they move around to different planets. The planets you bring out aren't always the same. They have different ways to score points on it. So it's essentially a worker placement game where you're placing workers, and the more workers you have in that area, the bigger the action, like Architects of the West Kingdom. Of course, if someone plays in an area where you have people, you will also get the power of whatever action. So it's not something where you make your play and then wait a few minutes while everyone else, does their stuff. If they land, if you have people on all 5 spaces, you could potentially be doing something on each turn, everyone's turn. I love that about this game. I think it's really neat. I think even said the game's worth $20 even if you find it for that amount. It is really a solid game. You're trying to put this perfect space station together with no openings or ends. That's going to be negative points in the game. That is very hard to do. Getting different types of tiles, you got to make sure you got a good mix in there so you can plant people on different areas of the space station or get them to certain jump gates to populate and score those points at the end. It's a pretty smart, thinky game. I'm not a big fan on the colors of the characters, but other than that, pretty good game. And finally, the last one I want to talk about is Lords of Lydia. Lords of Lydia is a very simple, in a way it is worker placement. You got these 4 corners, 4 types of colored meeples. You're putting them into a bag. You're manipulating your bag on which of those 4 colors you want to be more dominant. And you're going around the board, collecting 4 different types of colored resources, and then spending those resources on buying cards, and then again trying to spend those resources to upgrade cards. But the board is also upgradable as well on victory points or turning, it depends on what kind of module. This game comes with several modules that don't really enhance the game, just give you more options, but it doesn't really enhance it, I don't think, or change it in any major way. They're a bunch of just minor modules, but they do change up the way the game can go at times, and I do enjoy that. Fun, another simple light game, really good components, looks really good. It's not really a bag builder, not really worker placement in a way, not really area control, not really any of those things, but something about it is fun. It's always smooth to play, and my gaming group and I always have a great time with it. All right, folks, hey, that's 5. I'm going to come back next time with 5 more. See you then.